the Gentlementor.
I'm trying to think what mine is. The first thing that comes to mind when I think about having kids is I think about the philosophy that I have about raising a child is that raising kids is an 18-year-long lesson in learning to let go. But I'm trying to think that's not something I wanted to know before I had kids. And then I also think about, how in society we spend so much time training people to balance their checkbook, drive a car, learning how to invest, real estate, or whatever. We do that in school, in our education, but we don't spend any time teaching people how to be married and how to be parents.
Not anymore. This is
I don't know we
such
ever did. When I was in high school, the
not
parental teaching that we had was an egg that kids
yeah
would,
yeah yeah.
mostly girls, would carry around in school, not break, and hopefully bring back to class in like 6 weeks. They had to take it everywhere, and then they've got those digital babies that I'm like,
Yeah, not
that's how to care
necessarily.
for something
Yeah,
that's fragile. That's not how to be a
yeah,
parent.
not necessarily you and I or our generation, but there was more of an effort, more emphasis put on that in previous generations. This with a lot of things. Remember I learned gun safety in school.
Gun safety?
Yes. And it
Oh,
was it was
interesting.
it was a weekend thing, and you signed up for it, and you came to school, and it was the conservation agent and the local sheriff were there, and they taught you gun safety. When my brother was in school, it was actually a class.
Wow.
They actually stood out
Is
on
this
the
in
hill.
Texas?
No,
I'm just kidding.
it sounds like it though. I
Yeah.
remember on the playground, we would be playing on the playground, and they would be down at the ball field, and they would be shooting skeet with shotguns, and we were just like,
You're kidding.
can't wait to get in high school.
Man, are you kidding me? There would people be in jail for that
In
today.
school. That's what I
That
said.
is crazy.
Ethics, and constitution classes that taught people about what it was to be a citizenship.
Yeah.
Homemaking classes and it was
Yep.
more geared toward women, and it was home ec and it was cooking. I took some of
Right,
those
right.
classes,
Yeah.
but even a lot of that stuff's gone. There was a
Yeah.
lot of that was child development classes and the stages a child goes through as it's growing up and stuff like that. All that stuff's gone.
Yeah.
And some of that, not all of it, like I think you were talking about more on an emotional level what it means, and that's true. But there was some foundational, actual in school teaching that went on about stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, we probably were a little bit better at least preparing people for the reality, how brutal it is.
Yeah, you had some contact with the material. You weren't going in blind.
Right, right. I think probably the one thing that I wish I knew before I had kids was you're never ready. And it's a learning process through the entire thing.
I learned that by
Yes.
watching you.
Because I like to think, we all think the same thing as we're entering parenthood. Well, I'm never going to treat my children like my parents treated me. Or actually, we think that while we're still their children living in their household.
Lots of high ideals.
Right. Lots of high ideas about stuff like that. And then we realize, oh man, I
The
really am
reality,
my dad.
the daily life in the trenches sets in. It's like,
Yes.
yeah,
And I
Dad.
think, yeah. What did I just say? That it sound like my dad. I think that's probably the one. Okay, if I could cheat and say there's two things, it would be that what I said, that you're never really ready, and it's always a learning process, and that you are more like your dad or your mom. You're more like your parents than you really think you are, because you're a product of that, and that would tie right into what yours is about how the impact that you have on no matter what you do. You have to be very intentional about changing that trajectory, I guess, in your family, in your heritage. If
Yeah.
violence was something that your dad passed to you, and then you're passing that to your wife and to your kids, you're not changing that trajectory. You're not making a conscious effort to make something different or to change things. And you have some of those things that you changed. I had some of those things that I changed because it was in my trajectory. I could have easily succumbed to a lot of that kind of stuff that was in my family's past and in the history. I
Sure.
didn't do that. And so, yeah, there are a few things that I said, I am never going to treat my wife that way, or never going to treat my children that way. But ultimately, those are the harmful things. But the
Yeah.
things that really bothered us as a teenager, the things that really got under our skin, we pass those along whether we like it or not.
The
But they're not
personality
harmful.
stuff, yeah, the personality stuff is kind of the whole when you go through the marriage, having kids thing. You start to go through what I found was going through this kind of reciprocal thing. where not only was I recognizing, my boy was just like me. I was so much like my dad, which was something I didn't want to be. But then at the same
Yes.
time, you're watching your kids and you're going,
Yep. Yep.
oh, they got it too. And
Yeah.
you start to realize that there's some of that stuff you're not teaching.
Yeah.
It's not caught. It is in there. It's in
Yeah.
the recipe.
Yep. Agreed.
So,
I
and
agree. I totally
that
agree.
I think helps to balance everything a little bit.
Yep.
Gives you a
Yep.
little bit of like, okay, this is just part of the ongoing,
Yep.
the circle of life.
And I think, and I'm to confirm what you were saying, being in the recipe. I noticed a lot of that because my dad, as you know, my dad lived with us for the last 4 years of his life, and there was a lot of things where I would think things and think to myself, "That's how he's thinking. That's why he did that, is because he thought this." That's just in the DNA sometimes, and I
Hmm.
got to be okay with it. And like I said, they weren't harmful things.
Right.
But I had a choice. I had a choice. I have a choice on how to respond to those things, even if they were. They could easily become harmful things, but I have a choice on how to respond to it. But at least I took the opportunity. I was able to recognize, and maybe that's more advantageous that some other people have if they don't have parents living with them. But with him being here with us, that really kind of gave me a better perspective on that's really just in me because I'm his kid. It doesn't have anything to do with the fact the way he raised me. That's just part of the recipe, like you said. And so,
Right.
and that's okay. And it all has to do, it all boils down to our choice. What are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
How you going to respond to it? We talked about
Well,
that a
and
few weeks ago.
so
What's your
much of it
response?
is a different recipe, but it's in the recipe that we go through. We're born and we grow up and we love and respect and admire our parents, and then you hit that teenage area where it's like, I don't like you, and it's like everything's a war, and that's part of us needing to move out, and it's that time of thing, and then you get
That's
older
true.
and
Yep.
then you look back and you go through these. I recognize now the
Yep.
patterns in the cycle, and it's
Yep.
all part of the deal. It's
It
all part
is.
of the
It
show.
is. I think so often it's funny because I help so many. I say I help. I try to help other people in those earlier stages of life realize that a lot of those things are natural and they're supposed to happen because that's how God wants it to be. That's how we were written as our program as human beings. That yeah, at 13 you start having these collisions
Hmm.
emotionally with your daughter as a mother, but that's normal because in 5 years she's going to be out, and so that's designed to help create a little bit of separation. When they were
Right.
3, it was different. You had separation and anxiety. Now it's like, I'm ready for them to get out. That's normal. That's normal stuff. So there's lots of that we overlook sometimes, and it's like,
Oh
what,
yeah.
that's okay. That's part of growing and maturing. And like you were saying, something ends and something new begins. It may not always be good, but it's something new. So
Well, you
all
don't
right.
have to. You don't have to look long or hard to be reminded that the most beautiful things usually are born as a result of the most excruciating pain and the longest
Mhm.
story. I mean, you can't. If you ask my wife, or probably a lot of females, you couldn't offer them something more precious than a baby, and then
Right.
immediately reflect on what was required to bring that about.
Yeah.
And it's like instantly.
Bring it about or have it around. Because that was the best part.
Bring it around, have it about, have it about face. Yeah. That there's a lot of unpleasantness that goes with it,
Yeah.
getting it
Yeah.
here, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of unpleasantness that comes after it arrives too. But I
Uh,
digress.
and if Clay were here, what he would say about Deborah's comment, it was the making the baby that was the worst part. What? She meant baking, not making. Is what she
Nah.
really meant. That's yeah. All right. So what's the next big phase in life? I guess, and we could have a lot of these questions, but
Is it
what's
retirement?
no? I think maybe, and I would almost say either hitting a certain age, 30. What do you wish you knew before 30? What do you wish you knew before? I can't say
Man,
before 50 yet because I'm going to be that this year. But what's one of those things?
I don't know what I wish I knew before. I just all I remember is like obsessive stuff. Like when I was right about to turn 30, I was so concerned that I was going to be 30 and not accomplish anything.
Mhm.
I'm almost 30. In fact, I took a note card and a magic marker and I just wrote the number 30 on it and had it sitting on my desk, facing me as a reminder that it's coming. do something. It's
Hmm.
coming. Do something. So I did. I got canned. But not really. That was a couple years later, but it was a good punchline. And I did at 40. I was afraid. I thought I was going to die,
Mm.
like for a whole year. I was
Really?
like any minute, any
Why
minute,
were you? Just why? Why
because
did you?
of my brothers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
I
right.
was like,
At any
I'm the
minute.
only one left. Any minute it's going to happen. Yeah. There was that. I didn't remember. I don't think 50 bothered me that much. I was so 40 stressed me out all the crap. So I was probably like pretty desensitized
Interesting.
by 50.
Wow.
50 I didn't even notice.
Huh.
Now it's just fun again.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that you feel that it's fun again.
Yeah, I can't imagine what anyone could have told me about any of that except that don't take it so seriously.
Mm, okay. I
You
would agree
you
with
are
that.
you are taking this all way too seriously.
Don't take it too seriously. That's good. Because going back and looking back in my past, which I shared a lot of it with you, I think 30 hit me the hardest.
30 was tough.
Because 30 was tough for me because I felt like, and having been in youth ministry, I felt like, when you're 18 and you're in your 20s, you're a teenager and you're in your 20s, you're still youth, you're still young. I felt like you crossed that threshold when that three hit. You were no longer in your 20s. Even 29 to me was equivalent to being 21 because you were still in your 20s. But when you hit 30, it's like you're over the cliff, you're over the hill, and everything's in a spiral on the way down. And I wish I had known not to take it too seriously. Now, when 40 came, 40 did not faze me a bit. 40, I was just like, whatever. I'm 40, and I'm going to be 50 in a few months, and I am more like a rampart in a castle door. I am ready to just kick ass.
All right.
I am letting 50
I
be.
don't know what any of that means, but I'm staying out of your way.
I am ready for 50 to be the cannon on my tank just to blow crap up. I am ready just to get on with it. So that's the way I feel. And that's the way I'm taking 50. I am 50 is going to be a badge that allows me just to kick ass and just do some stuff that I haven't done in the past 50 years. And people are going to go, oh, wow. Well, I don't know if they'll do that. They'll probably go, I don't know.
I,
So
I in in a,
that's the
in
way
a
I'm taking it.
in a strange way, I feel similarly. Mine's probably a little more nihilistic.
Yeah. Oh no, but I think that comes all with the not taking it so seriously.
Oh yeah, yeah,
If I
yeah,
had
for sure.
realized at 29 when I was about to turn 30, hey, chill out, just quit taking it so seriously. I finally
Yeah,
realized that
for
40 comes
sure.
around, I'm just like, eh. But now 50 is coming around, and I'm taking it more seriously, but on the complete opposite side
Right, right, right.
of like I'm getting serious here, and we're gonna have some stuff's gonna go down.
Yeah, I'm with that.
Yeah, I'm like that. So I don't know. But before I reach a certain age, I think that's probably the best advice, and I would concur with you that quit taking it so seriously.
Yeah, I think I'm
That,
finally
that
over it. I think 50 finally was
yeah,
like, okay, at this point, you're just
yeah,
wasting time because you're going to be who you are and you're going to do
yep,
what you do.
yeah,
Your choice is whether or not you're going to be not happy. Are you going to accept yourself? Finally,
yeah,
has it
yeah,
been long enough? You've
yeah,
you've you've kind of exhausted all these attempts at being who this group wanted you to be, and these people wanted you to be, and oh, if I could just be like this, these people accept me. Okay, you've come to the point where none of that has ever paid off.
yeah,
None of it's ever panned out. You just make yourself more miserable. You hate yourself for doing it because you're being disingenuous.
yeah,
So why not just cut the crap?
yeah. Why not?
And I was like, oh, well, that speaks right to the heart of me. And it's
Yeah,
like, oh, yeah, you say it
yeah.
that way. That makes a lot of sense in a
Well,
conversation I was having with myself.
I know one thing.
You know what, me? You make a lot of sense.
Listen to me, myself. Here's one thing I respect about you is you cut through the crap, and you always have, and that's what I appreciate you about you.
Aw.
I can remember. I still remember. I hear certain songs on Spotify. I've got a Spotify list that's like momentous praise and worship. And it's all those songs that we used to do during that era with us. And I still hear the conversations that we have sometimes when I say, I want to do this song. And you're like, why? This song in the world. And I know my response was always something along the lines of it because people respond to it, even though it is a crappy song. And I tried to, you know, give you some sort of
You
noble.
had a rationale for it, and it
I had a
was
rationale,
just
my
as
own
valid.
rationale
I
for it.
was I was
But
using my old rationale to apply to this.
but
I
that's
didn't
what I
know.
love. That's what I loved about you is like you're like a Jewish woman. You never have to know what she's thinking because she's always telling you at that moment. Yes, sir.
Your Jewish wife.
How's it go with my Jewish beard? I don't know. Okay, so what do we wrap this up with? Did we wrap this up with what? And let's take a tough question. And I don't know the answer to this yet. I'm still thinking about it.
Okay.
What do you still need to learn?
Oh man.
If it could just be one thing, just be one
It
thing.
is.
Because for me, it's probably a long list. Do you know of just one thing?
Man, you know what? I actually thought of this earlier in the conversation. It
Okay.
popped into my head. Something popped into my head. I'm like, no, that's something I still need to learn. It's probably some summation of those things. It's like now that you've learned all of this, do something with it.
Mm,
That's what I'm trying to figure out now. Now that I'm who I am and I'm willing to accept that.
yeah.
Now that I know exactly what I can do and what I have to offer. I have no job, which
You do
frees
have a
up my
job.
time. It frees up my time.
Hmm.
I don't have endless financial resources, but I've got a good set of resources in front of me, tools
Yeah.
that I could use. What do I do? And does it matter?
Hmm.
Because one thing I've become increasingly more certain of, not convinced, or else I'd live by it and wouldn't have to continue having conversations with myself, is that the what you do is not as important as the why you do it.
Hmm.
And that if you do it for the right reasons, the what almost doesn't matter at some point. Because what really matters is that thing that's driving it, which I won't call the
Right.
P word because we don't like to use the P word.
We don't like to use the P word, but it's
Because
fine.
it's not. It's not about the P word. Oh, not that one.
It's it's really about who you are and what you're made
It
of.
is.
Yeah.
It's about this becoming an extension of who I am.
How you're
That's
wired. Exactly.
that's always been. It hasn't always been. As I've like these little word study games that I play in my head. And how do we look at words? That's how I understand knowledge, understanding, wisdom.
Hmm.
Is that it's knowledge in here, it's understanding in here, and not really your real heart, but your brain heart.
Right. Gotcha.
And
Spirit
it's wisdom when it comes out of
comes
here.
out. Yes.
When I don't have to force it or think about it or try to make it happen, it's just the outpouring or the outflow of who I am.
That'll preach.
Send your offering to Billy Graham
Make the church
Evangelistic Association,
No, don't. Send
Winnipeg,
your offering.
Manitoba.
That's good. No, that's good.
And
It'd be hard for
and
me.
I don't know how to get there. Or if it's something that I need to get there too, or if it's already there and I just need to let it flow. Just tarry and trust the.
Shut up.
I know.
Let
But I hate that. You always
go.
get down
No,
to that.
hold on. Let
Yeah.
go. No, hold on.
Let go and let God. Which one?
Which one do I do?
You just need to trust the Lord. Just leave it in the Lord's hands, brother.
Just let it come out.
And that
Ah,
whole
Bada Honda,
interplay
Shida Bada Kida.
between faith and action, and it's like, oh man, where do you balance it? It's like, who knows? That's what I need to. That's what I still need to know is how to balance faith and action. How to know when I know enough that I should just shut up and go, or something like that.
I think, from my perspective, Doug, I think you've done a lot of that in the past couple of years. You have just done a lot of going, and not given and I don't want to say given a lot of thought because I don't want that to discredit you, but not giving a lot of concern about what other people are thinking. You just get out there and
That's
get
my
it done.
that's my spiritual gift.
Your spiritual gift. Not only do I not care what you think, I'm not even listening to what you say.
Just in case you weren't sure if I was sincere about not caring, what'd
But
you
I
say?
think, But dude, that's a level of maturity that a lot of people don't reach. That's a level of maturity where a lot of people are still like, well, I don't know what so and so's going to think if I
No.
say this or do this.
Oh,
Okay.
everybody has strengths and weaknesses. This just happens to be mine. That's the one thing.
What
This is
side am
what
I?
I know. Here we'll go back to this conversation you don't like to have.
Okay.
But you dragged me back there. That your stability and I'm catalyst.
Okay.
See, that's just who I am. I
Yeah.
accept that about myself. Here's the other thing I accept about myself is like the Christmas vacation thing. So does the washing machine. Yeah, he does. But, oh, he worked really hard on it, Daddy. So does the washing machine.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
That
Took me a minute to remember.
my effort is I'm kind of fishing. I'm throwing the line. I'll keep throwing the line. You're not going to stop me. I don't care if it's raining. I'm fishing. But at some point, I'm like looking at myself, going, "You've been doing this for a long time, and you ain't caught nothing. Maybe fishing ain't your thing." So yeah, I hope it's someone to at some point that we will stumble onto some formula or recipe or indication of how best to use that, how to make that fruitful.
Yes. And I don't. Yeah, I like that. That's good. I'll take that.
Tarry, let us tarry until
Tarry.
I'm fruitful.
Let us take a moment of silence.
Let's tarry for a season until I'm fruitful.
Stop it. Now you got me all flustered about what I was going to say.
Sorry.
I can't think of
I'm
it.
sorry.
Anyway, I was going to say back that it has something to do with the fishing and it's raining and you're not catching any fish. But you have the type of wisdom, you have the type of knowledge and understanding that equates to wisdom to go, maybe I should try something else. Where a lot of people don't. A lot of people beat the dead horse, or as my band director said, you can't get blood out of a turnip. You know. So I think that's what
All
you
depends
have.
on how hard you twist it.
That's what I think you have over most of our other average people that are wandering
Well,
around
the
this glorious
thing
planet.
the thing I've always cherished about you is your ability to bring perspective. And so I continue to God, I got nothing.
Do you need me to bring you some
Oh
perspective?
man. I just need a
Continue
dictionary.
to marvel?
A dictionary. Marvel is probably a little strong.
Okay, sorry. I was, if I'm going to bring perspective, I'm going to bring something that benefits me, right?
There are lots of reasons why I continue to enjoy this relationship. But as anyone who knows me can tell you, I'm always looking at these things going, is this it? Is this the moment?
That is perfectly fine.
Are we gonna jostle together and jumble and happen to, hit that right combination where all the tumblers sync up and it says bar, bar, bar and the coins shoot down and we all go woo?
No,
Or are we just
no, it's never. It's never going to be that way because you've heard the things that it took me 25 years to be an overnight success. It's just that's not how it works. You know that. It's just not that's just not going to hit it. We're going to realize one day and we're going to look back and see whatever it is, the spiritual bank account, the physical bank account and look back and go, "Wow, look at that. We didn't realize that, but the past 10 years, this is what we've built." And it's not going to be that slot machine
no,
feel.
no, 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 no. And
No?
slot machine was probably a bad example.
Okay,
Because
all right.
that made it sound like I was talking about money.
Sweet spot? You want to go with more of the sweet spot?
Let me
When you hit
let
that
me
bat,
let
when
me allow me
that
to
bat hits the right spot, the ball hits the right spot in the bat, and it goes up and hits the lights and knocks the entire stadium. Lights
as
out.
much as the
Robert Redford.
situation we discussed a situation earlier where we had like a good group of people, we had a good base, we had good research. If you would eliminate the emotional drama that went on,
Mm-hmm.
that was one time in my life where I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be, with exactly who I was supposed to be with, doing exactly what I was supposed to be doing, and had nothing. Check your bank account, check mine, had nothing to do with finances.
No.
Had to do with, and that's part of what keeps me bumping around with you, because there's something inside of me that keeps going, you're going to hit it again.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like kind of, Bumper
We
cars, there's somewhere it's going to go and thunder and lightning. There won't be
no,
any coins or anything. There won't
nope.
be any revelation other than you and I looking at each other knowingly going, found it. We backed into it. We stumbled back into it. And we kind of hit that rhythm again. There are lots of moments as we're doing this that I feel that way.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I agree.
certainly having a lot of fun.
Yes.
But at some moment where it's all going to lock in again. For whatever purpose, I don't know. I'm not trying to paint it with flags and whistles. I'm just saying something that you and I will know
How
internally.
many years, and I hate to bring this up, and I apologize, you can cut this out if it's going to be offensive. How many years did it take, or decades
That's
did it
enough.
take?
I'm offended. We're
How
not
many
doing
years?
this podcast
No, come on.
anymore. If you're going to offend me,
You wanted something controversial. Here it is. How many years, how many decades did it take for you and I to look back on some of those students that we had an effect on and go, we did something right. We were a part of something that made a difference in their life. It wasn't the day that I left Moberly.
no.
It wasn't that. It wasn't the day that you were fired from that church.
No.
No.
That,
It was years later, we see some of those students come back. We see some of those students get married, have kids, do something notable in their life, and it makes us go, wow, we did something. That's the cha-ching, but it didn't come at the moment we pulled. No, that's not the cha-ching for you?
no.
No, but we're seeing that now. We see some
We do, and I
see some
agree.
people
We do.
that are watching this that have been a part of our live streams, that have been a part of this, and that are commenting, that are, communicating with us, saying, "Hey, I really appreciate you guys seeing this. This made a difference in my life." That's, to me, that's
It's all good
the
stuff.
build. It's building up, but it's not that point where we can go, "Ah, we've hit it. We've hit that sweet
No,
spot."
not yet. That's what I'm saying. There was a moment there, like I said, that internally
Right. You knew for a fact that's where
I
you were
knew
supposed to be.
I was
Yeah.
where I was supposed to be.
And you're
I
not
was
having that feeling with me now.
I was with who I was supposed to be with, and I was doing what I was supposed to be doing.
Gotcha.
I love you.
And
I
love
always
you.
feel that way about you. That's why I keep hanging around you,
I was
hoping
only
those.
kidding. My comment was-
I know, hoping those other two things are going to show up again.
Okay.
That I'm going to know I'm in the right place,
Yeah.
and that I know I'm going to know that I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
That I'm not going to be doing the casting.
And waiting and
And,
waiting.
this is not a crown I'm casting, by the way. This is a fishing rod. Yeah, where it's not going to feel
Well, I don't
like
get it.
guesswork anymore. Where it's going to feel like, yeah. Like we just mounted the two machine guns to the front of the truck and we're ready to hit the road.
So you still feel like
Yeah.
this is a little bit of guesswork in here.
Yeah, I mean it's totally fun, but I'm never going to feel
We had
like
fun back then. Every night at the Country Kitchen, eating
we
French
did,
fries
and
on
we've had
$2
fun
and-
1,000 nights having ridiculous conversations with people sitting around going, "You guys should have a podcast."
Who are those people? Let's
That's what I'm
hunt them
saying.
down.
This is
out their
not
tent.
difficult for me to do. I'd love to get together and hang out with you just because it's like, this is where I felt that way before. So if we keep doing stuff together and we keep hanging out, in my mind, whether it's right or wrong, it increases the odds that eventually we're going to hit that stride again. I've never hit that stride with anybody else. I've had a lot of similar things with other people. You've talked about what makes our relationship different and things, and I've probably talked about it more than you or anybody else. Andy and I have talked and planned and done a few small things. Bill and I talked and planned and did nothing. As a band, we talked and planned and we did small things. You and I, relationship-wise, have done more. We've talked and we've planned and we've had fun in all the conversations. But on the list of things that actually got done, that's what makes our relationship different. That's what makes me look at it differently than even if I look at the circle of 3 or the circle of 4 or the circle of 5. I'm always going to look at you differently. Also
But
because you sat and listened to all the stories of my buffoonery. You don't know any of that. You know, your only story was you came to my house and I was doing it,
yeah,
which was completely illegal.
the only story that I could think of at the moment. So yeah,
Yeah. The rest of those stories were from a different part of me, a different part of my life
right.
when I was a different person.
I enjoyed
Oh,
hearing
I did too. It was hysterical hearing to me.
yeah.
It's funnier for me to hear somebody else tell them because
Even the fake news ones were funny.
in my mind, they're not funny. In my mind, a lot of them are those things I feel like I'll never live down. The one that Andy told about me getting drunk and telling the guy to get off my stage, man. I've had to live with that, and that's Andy's. Like, if he needs to give it to me, that's the story that comes out. And it
Wait,
was
you said that
like,
to Mike Daggett at church, didn't you? Get off my stage!
I said, ain't nobody
Ain't
business.
nobody business. We're getting
But
all
yeah,
personal now. People are lost.
we've done stuff. We
Yeah.
have accomplished. I mean, like I said, Andy and I have accomplished a few small things. When like the dirt hippie thing, we did a band once. We tried to do a band again, and it just the dirt hippie thing was. It was as much work keeping it going as we ever spent doing something. You and I turned stuff out. We cranked out product. We made stuff happen. And that's what I loved about it. That was addictive to me. That got me out of bed in the morning because it's
Yeah.
like we are changing things. If it's not changing the world, it's at least changing the world
Changing
around us enough
us.
that it kept it
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's what I'm in it for. I'm like, you and I, of all of my friends, and love them all, we've had great fun and adventures and done many stupid and some not stupid things. But like I said, you and I have the track record. In my short storied 50 years, that's the thing I'm trying to recapture. It used to be, you can ask those guys. It used to be, I would after the band broke up, every time I would get drunk, I would wind up drunk dialing everybody and going, "We got to get the band back together. We got to get the band back together." Nobody wanted to get the band back together.
Let's call Meg right now. Meg, we got to get the band back together. Oh man, I think I think probably the one thing that I still have to learn, I'm realizing that I need to learn, is that
How to get me to stop talking.
no. I want you to talk, but the thing that I fear the most is forgetting what I was going to say. Because I answered that question when you started to talk, and then I'm like, okay, I need to be engaged in this conversation, but I don't want to forget my answer to this question. It's not that it's not that I'm looking to respond to you. I want to listen and be a part of what I'm listening to.
Yeah, if you're going to be on the podcast, you should
I
say
try to be
words
good.
too.
I should say words. So here's some words that I want to say. Or not I wish. I am still trying to learn that the small things, I don't know, not to sweat the small things. I was talking to somebody today that, and you know how I feel. You feel this too. When you create something graphically, when you're creating something graphic wise or digitally, I'm on Photoshop, and I realize now this spills out in a lot of things in my life. The worst part of creating something graphically is picking out a daggum font. I will spend
Oh man,
hours,
admitting you have a problem is
hours.
the first step.
Everything else will be done. Everything else will be in my mind exactly presentable and ready to go. The wording is perfect, but the font is not. And I will look for a font. I will download new fonts. I will try them. I will hate them. I will try another font. And then I always end up with, Arial Black, whatever. But I realize now, and I wish I could get this a lot faster when I do things, is that doesn't matter. The message got out. The why, what you were talking about earlier, the why behind the what is there. And it really doesn't matter if the font is right or not. It doesn't matter if the color is right or not. It doesn't matter if it fits the rule of thirds. As long as I get the message out, as long as we get this podcast out, because someone probably needs to hear it. So that's the one
Imagine
thing.
that.
That's the one thing I'm still trying to learn.
And I just want
If I could get a lot
to
faster.
applaud your willingness to be honest and address your problem. It's something a lot of us have talked about. We thought we were going to have one of those interventions for you once, but I'm just glad you came to the truth.
But
I will vouch for you. I've never seen anybody go through fonts like you do, and I've watched my wife go through fonts.
but and Doug, that's just not fonts. That goes into other areas of my life.
You think I don't know this?
Okay, I just want to make sure you're clear on that. It goes into other things too, right?
Oh, believe me, I've thought of him. I'm like, how does he do this?
What does it matter? It doesn't matter what the stinking color of the wall is. It's just, and here's how I've dealt with that a little bit later on. We've, as we did the whole living room remodel, and I am trying to keep my opinion to myself. I am trying to
That's the thing.
I don't need to assert my particular desire for this couch over this couch. I need you to be happy with the decision that you make, and I'm going to support that. So that's where it goes beyond the font and goes to, it's not that important. The important thing is that she's still going to love me when it's all over with.
You reminded me of the thing I forgot.
Okay,
that was mine. No, that was mine. That was
Okay.
mine. I need to learn that just because I have an opinion, it doesn't have to come out of my mouth.
No, it doesn't. You know what? I think that could be the wrap up of this entire podcast. Just because you have an opinion doesn't mean it needs to be known.
Your opinion is no more or less valuable than any other, and based on that alone, yeah.
Yep.
The thing that got me was like, okay, hardly anybody ever asks for my opinion. Almost no one ever wants my opinion. The people who ask me for advice frequently do the opposite of whatever I say.
Mm-hmm.
And so my advice, my opinion, none of it equals anything other than frustrating me because, in my opinion is quite valuable. And if somebody asks me for it, certainly they ought to want to follow it. Certainly ought to really want to hear it. Mm-hmm. It's not. No. Yeah. Most of the time, you'd be better off. And you're not frustrating others, not frustrating yourself. Go, okay, I understand. This is my opinion. And that's it.
Yeah.
And it never has to be spoken out loud. It doesn't have to be vented as much as everyone tells us you should vent.
No.
It just doesn't. It's just an opinion.
It creates what you absolutely hate, and that is more drama.
Even if it only creates it within you.
Yes.
For
exactly.
that reason. Oh, well,
Exactly.
I told you my opinion. Certainly you're going to value it, listen to it, follow it. No.
Yep.
They're not.
Yep.
That is worthwhile. I feel kind of catharticized.
Okay.
Cathartastic. I feel cathartastic.
Fantastic. That should be on a T-shirt. I'm going to put that on the pocket of my
I
t-shirt.
feel cathartorific.
Cathartorific.
Yeah. That's the best advice. Here's something you should learn today. Your opinion is valuable to you.
But may not be to anyone else.
Feel free to share it with yourself all you need to.
Okay.
Terrible.
Anyway, that was great. That was good.
That was good.
That
was fun.
Yeah.
That was
That's good
thought provoking.
That
You
was
provoked me
nearly-
into thinking.
The Gentlementor.